It's your girl, Tia Shasha High, the host of Millennial High, where the trend-setting millennial comes for motivation, inspiration, and deep conversation. Today's show, I have Philly local Tanya T Morris, the power of the T in the house, and we'll vibe about how to change people's lives by first changing your own, and also the power of mentorship. And with her, she brought the shining light, Aniya Wolfe, with her.
Hi. I'm so excited.
and she'll share her journey as I can't believe she's 15, a 15-year-old filmmaker, actress, photographer, all while being awesome.
Yes. Thank you. Piping me up. Thank you.
And a little bit about Millennial High. This show serves as a platform for those who inspire and provoke others to go beyond what they ever thought possible for themselves. So if you have an inspirational, uplifting, thought-provoking message you want to share with the millennials of the world, I want you. Be on the show. Email me at millennialhigh@gmail.com. You can DM me on IG at Millennial High, or Facebook message me at Millennial High. As always, though, I like to set the mood, and I know Tanya and I, we were talking about just a little bit about just opening our social media feed and seeing everything that's happening in America, and Virginia, and it's kind of it. I have a show planned. I'm sticking to the show, but I'm going to let the music talk for me, okay? And, I'm going to go live later on Facebook, probably around 3 o'clock with my heartfelt thought and feelings. But there's this one song that came out in 1989, almost 26 years ago, and I still feel like it's relevant today. So I'm going to play that for you. And definitely, I posted the lyrics on my Facebook at Millennial High. So check out the lyrics, because the lyrics are just as important as the beat. Just as important as the rhythm. Yeah, right?
Yeah, when you feel the beat more than the lyrics.
Yeah, and then this one, like, the beat is so good, but like her lyrics are just amazing. So I'll let you guys see for yourself, and here it is. And we are back. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to an inspirational, motivational talk show here on 106.5 FM in Philadelphia. And that was Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation. I just have to, just because I love these lyrics so much and it's so relevant. She says, so it's just so good. And I hope you guys look up and read the lyrics. That would be awesome and amazing. And I put them on my Facebook page, like I said. But with me in the studio, I have Tanya and Aniya.
Hey.
I'm so happy to have them here with me in the studio. And Tanya, let me tell you a little bit about Tanya. Okay, she is more than a life coach, and she's not a motivational speaker. All right, Tanya T Morris is a coach, a mentor, a social entrepreneur. She's an award-winning speaker, actually, acclaimed author. Tanya has been featured in the Philadelphia Tribune, Philadelphia Sunday Sun, 6 ABC's Visions, News on 3. Like, oh my gosh, like, she's all over, and I'm so happy and honored to be on my show today. Tanya's goal is to make sure, and it is really to take her mentees or her clients from where they want to be, or for where they are to where they want to be. And welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, Tia, so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome back, actually.
Yes, we did an abbreviated version.
Well, we did, and I was just like, because I wanted to have you on as a full segment, but I'm like, I gotta get her back on because you made such a powerful impact in that, 10 minutes you were on the show the first time? So how are you?
I'm doing excellent to outstanding. Happy to be here.
Oh, I love that. Excellent. You are outstanding. So then tell the audience a little bit about who you are.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, my heart has always been mentorship. Is not something that I chose. It was something that it was thrust upon me. I worked in social work for a very, very long time, and I worked in social work during that time when the welfare to work programs were in their infancy, and so many of the women there that I served that were like me, that were single moms like me, that were, going to school, that were trying to, develop a better life. Those were the women that became my first people that I mentored, and they were the ones that I practiced on. So by the time I got to somebody like Samia and Aniya, I had, a little bit of seasoning underneath my belt. So so from social work, I kind of went into, I've always been a writer. So I wrote for the Daily News, the Sun, the Tribune for many, many years. I've interviewed everybody from Oprah to Spike Lee to Keenan Ivory Wayans to Will Smith. That during that time. And then I kind of became I started doing a little bit more religious writing. So I interviewed a lot of the pastors when I started having my religion column at the Tribune. And I really fell into entrepreneurship by accident because it was during that time when I was working at a halfway house. I had a young man that came into the office, came in 19, had been abused by his mom, mentally, emotionally, physically, had ran away so many times. And he sat in my office during intake and he said, no one loved him but his girl. I said, well, you know what, Vernon, I love you. But more importantly, the Lord loves you. And he just began to cry. And that was really Vernon was my inspiration for my first book, Divine Inspiration, The Process of Fulfilling Your Divine Destiny. And so it was from that point on that I really worked on the entrepreneurship. So I'm 3 books later and excited to be here and really kind of still, I tell people, it's funny today, Pastor Kwan said something interesting. He said, none of us are grown. We're all still growing. And, I'm still growing, still moving. I mean, I have a new nonprofit that I'll talk about a little later on, and we're excited about that. So it's all about growing and helping others to grow, and we can just grow together.
Now, how did you come up with that title, which I love so much? I know I told you this before, but for the listeners that are just tuning in to this show today, how did you come up with the power of the T?
Well, it's funny because, some people don't know I am a licensed minister. So I had a friend of mine, Pastor Donald Dargan, that used to call me Tanya Tell the Truth Morris. That was what he used to call me all the time. I used to be like, Donald, will you please? No, T, you got that power with you. And so, and there's something about African American women. I don't, when we speak, one of the first things that you hear, and I don't say this, about myself, what we often say about one another is that was powerful.
Yeah.
That was powerful. And it was just, I kept hearing it so much. And so when I started developing my brand, the branding coach that I had at the time, he said, we're going to embrace that. We're going to use that. That's who you're going to be. It's going to become the power of the T. So even though the T stands for Tanya, it all stands for truth and talent and tenacity and terrific and all of those other T things. And so we just wanted to really begin. That was how we began to really develop our brand.
That's so cool.
I like that. So then you did. So to start your brand, you did seek out a coach, like a branding coach, right?
Yeah, one at some point, and after a while, you get to a point where you get, I don't want to say tired, but you get a little frustrated of trying to figure it out yourself,
right?
You know what I mean? And so you have to really, you reach out to someone that's more knowledgeable. And so a friend of mine actually. Sherry Williams, who's a good friend of mine, Senator Anthony Williams, his wife, she referred me to somebody, and I mean they did an exhaustive thing from interviewing people that I had mentored to interviewing places that I had worked and sending out surveys. I mean, they really dug deep. And that's what they came out with. They were like, we're going to embrace, we believe that's who you are. And we're going to want you to really embrace that as your brand and be the power of the T.
So then I'm curious, is this though at any point in this journey, were you ever hesitant? Were you ever nervous and maybe doubtful?
All the time. I tell Aniya all the time, I'm nervous every time I stand up to speak in public. And anybody that says that they're not is just not telling the truth.
Right.
But I've learned, there's a story, Bill Russell is a NBA Hall of Fame basketball player. And I was reading a book about overachievers, and Bill Russell had anxiety really bad to the point where he would throw up before games if it was like a big game. But he would go out after he threw them and kill it.
Yeah.
20 points, 12 rebounds, 8 block shots, and kill it. So what I've learned to do is I've learned to channel those nerves, and I've learned to channel that anxiety, and I've learned, you know, how to embrace it. I've learned to slow down when I speak, whereas though when I first started, I was motor mouth, you know. And I tell people all the time, my mom used to tell me when I got kicked out of school all the time, and when I got bad grades, and they would tell my mom, Tanya will not stop talking. And who knew she talked so much, and every report card said talkative, and who knew that that would actually become the way that part of the way that I made my living was talking. So you just never know.
You just never know. But they say that as a child, one thing that you know that you were good at as a child, that's exactly what you should be doing as an adult.
Yeah.
Like that is your purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it took me, I mean, you know, I'm in my 50s and I'm like thinking about, and I think about that. I'm like, man, I remember all those teachers that said I was talkative. I was talkative. And who would know that I would become a speaker and a preacher? And like, it's like, my God, like, you know, you think about those things.
Right. And it's you found a way to use your voice.
Yes.
Right. Purposefully.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's the difference. So then, because I have all these questions in my mind, and I'm trying to make sure I get in the precise order for you. So at this point, so when you decided to become an entrepreneur / mentor, what was the first step you took? Like, did you quit your job? Did you start, like, how did you transition from being full-time to being your own business owner?
Well, for me, and this is one thing I tell people, entrepreneurship is who you are. It's not necessarily what you do. And so when I wrote my first book, only thing that I knew to do was to learn how. I didn't know what I was doing, so I had to go learn how to do it. So at that time, I was working at the halfway house, but I still had a relationship with a lot of people at the Daily News. So, you know, I found out about workshops on how to self-publish, and, you know, that was really my first step in entrepreneurship, was self-publishing, you know, Divine Inspiration. And then years later, when I did Drop Your Baggage, again, so it really started with my publishing company, and then later becoming a consultant. So I worked full time or part time, off and on. You know, I've always done that, and that's because I believe that you can use a career that will funnel your dream of entrepreneurship. You know, there's times like right now, you know, I'm the project coordinator at Cheney University's DBE Supportive Services Center. But guess what I do every day, all day? I coach and mentor business owners that are trying to get government contracts, primarily with PennDOT. That's what I do all day.
Right.
But that's who I am. So I'm not doing anything outside of the norm. And I have a great supervisor who's an entrepreneur. She understands where I am and what I do. So I have the freedom to do what I need to do, you know, to go speak and do book signings and, you know, do what I need to do. And
you
so
set that up real well.
You know,
that's awesome, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, that's what I tell people, like, and that's coming off the heels of being a full-time entrepreneur last year, when I was really doing. I didn't ask for this position for change. I don't even remember ever applying for it. Cynthia picked up the phone and called me and asked me did I want it, and I was like, I guess so. Why not? You know, so. That, you know, that's the thing. I just take it. I just believe that, you know, you move and you progress, you go where you're needed. And so last year when I was working, you know, doing my full-time thing, I was helping with doing outreach and doing community outreach and doing consulting and doing coaching and doing those things, and that was great. But I'm still doing that right now. So
then, what do you suggest for the people that come to you and it's like, Tanya, I need your advice. I'm unhappy at my job and I want to quit my job and live my passion. Right? Everyone's doing that now.
This is the thing. So we're a part of something called the Circle of Greatness, and somebody posted that very question maybe about a month ago. And this is what I told them. This is what I told them. I said the first thing that you need to do is that you have to consult the Lord. That's the first thing. Before you do anything, you gotta consult the Lord before you do anything. Pray about it. Be certain about this is what it is that you do. The second thing you have to do is you have to consult your family. Right? You can't just jump out, quit your job. You got bills to pay. You got kids to feed. You got a spouse. Like, you can't just up and no. And every time that I made a transition, even as a single mom, I sat down. My boys are 28. I just told you that my boys are 28. I sat down with my sons and my mom and my grandmother when she was alive. That was my support system. So they needed to know you know, that this is what I was going to do. And then the last thing is that you want to consult your mentors. You got to talk to your mentors. Listen, this is what I'm thinking about, and this is what I'm leaning towards doing. Help me to come up with a strategy to do that. I had an excellent business coach. Her name is Fran McNeil. Shout out to Fran if she's listening, who actually helped me come up with a plan to actually make my exit into full-time entrepreneurship. Came up with a plan. This is how many speaking gigs you need to have. This is how many books you need to sell. This is how many consulting gigs. You know, actually we sat down and came up with a strategic plan to move my way out of where I was at that particular time.
You know what? Because it's like so many people, I guess just the groups that I'm in on Facebook. They're so proud when they just go up and just quit their job. I just quit, you guys, today, and they get so many likes and congratulations, go live your purpose, girl. But it's just like, no, like there needs to be, I like what you said, an exit strategy, right? And that's what so many of us don't have, and then that's why we quit. And you're like, I can't pay your bills, and then now you're depending on your family, and then now
haven't consulted anybody.
And then now,
right. You haven't consulted anybody. You ain't consulted God. You ain't consulted your family. You ain't consulted your mentor. You just sleeping. It was so funny. The young man that posted this in his post saying he was ready, and I get it. I get it. I've had tons of jobs that I have hated. I get it. When I left Turning Points for Children in 2016, my reasoning was, one, I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't come there to stay. I already knew that. So I already knew. But when I quit looking down the road, and I was in the process of finishing up my MBA at Strayer. So I already had a plan. I had clients already. I had financial stability to be able to do that. You can't just, I'm listening to this guy, he talking about something, you know, I got a mortgage and I got this and that. Well, bruh, you answered your own question.
The mortgage has spoken.
Hey, Rose Kenny.
So then now from your first book, right?
Yes.
So then you went on to write 2 more.
Yeah.
So talk about that process and talk about the process of writing the first book, and then we know what the inspiration was for the first book. Let me clarify. So what were the inspirations for the other 2?
So the inspiration for, which is still my baby, which is still my bestseller, Drop Your Baggage to Just Get Over It Makeover. I was a huge fan of Extreme Makeover Home Edition.
Right, yeah.
Oh my God. Like, that show to me was just everything, right? Todd Pennington and all of them. That show was like everything to me. And that was really the inspiration for my second book, primarily because I was going through the process of buying my first home. And so I was going through the process of buying my first home. The deal kind of broke down near the end, and we had already, you know, lost the second house. The first, the house, we already had to move from where we were living, and so we ended up sleeping on my mom's. I slept on the couch, and Jeremy and Isaiah slept on a air mattress in my mom's living room for 3 months until we actually settled and moved into the house that we've been in now for 10 years. And so from that, I really talk about everything that you go through in the house process, buying a house, and how you apply it to your life, right? So the first one is an appraisal, right? When you buy a house, you got to see if that foundation is good of that house. You have to have an appraisal. And I talk about the demolition. Like, you got to break some stuff up, right? There's some stuff in our lives that we got to break up. And so that was really Drop Your Baggage. It is still my bestseller. People still buy that book in droves, online and in stores and at events.
It's on Amazon. Is it on Amazon?
On Amazon? Yes, ma'am.
Done. Because I need to make sure my foundation is right.
So we all do. We all do. And I talk about the design team. I talk about a design team. So Ty always had a design team. He always had people around him besides himself. So he had carpenters, he had interior decorators, he had builders, he had financial people, always had this design team around him. And so I talk about that, not knowing the role that so many mentors and coaches and people that I would mentor and coach, knowing really fully what it meant to really have a team. So,
So then let's talk about mentorship then, and how mentorship can be powerful, and tie that into exactly what you just said, because it is so interesting to me, because I know, like, I'm on social media a lot, And not that much, but a lot. But I do notice patterns. I notice people, the same people at supporting each other at their events, and I'm like, oh, that person's over here. Oh, they must know this person. You know what I'm saying? You see the ties, and then I remember meeting Aniya maybe like a year and a half ago at Marcus Seiler's
his premiere.
filming of Beauty. I think because you were in it, and then I remember meeting you once at an event that I covered maybe like around the same time, and then you were there as a photographer, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm starting to see all these connections. Right? So then now I understand it. It's that mentorship piece that I've always missed. So then, Tanya, can you talk about that a little bit?
So, I believe that mentorship is the most organic relationship that you can have outside of your family. And it's ironic to me, and I talk about this extensively. There's a whole chapter in The Power of One where I talk about mentorship. And I talk about, ladies down the line, this was before Aniya came around, so she didn't get a mention in the book. But this was, leading up to those things. And so, I believe that when you make a conscious decision to step into somebody's life as an advocate, as a mentor, as a leader, that you have an impact not only on their life, but also on your own. And so, you want me to talk about how we met?
Sure, yeah, okay. I would love it.
So I was, Sherry and I started a little network called Woman Up. And our first year we did it over at A's Place in Manayunk. And a friend of Aniya's mom saw me on NBC 10. And so she called Diane and she said, listen, I think we should really try to go to this event. And they reached out to me and I was like, yeah. She said, is it okay if kids come? And me and Sherry are like, yeah, why not? I mean, bring them on, and so they came and we were just, I was just floored, when Tanisha emailed me and said that she had this 14-year-old girl that was a filmmaker. I was like, what? Like, are you serious? I was like, okay. And I looked at her little Selfie Wars, was her first little short film. Like, I went to watch Selfie Wars and I was like, bring her and tell her to bring her camera.
Nice.
So, she came. And then really after that, and this is what I mean about organic, just like I don't even think it may have been a week or two after that. The Lord really was like, I want you to reach out to her parents because I want you to start mentoring her. And I was like, I said, now, Lord, let me you have a little discussion here because I don't really do teenagers. I really work with adults. So are you sure? He was like, yeah, but Aniya was so easy. Like she was so easy. And she has a wonderful support system already. She has amazing parents already. And so just being able to share her life has been a blessing to me. So I just think that it's just the most organic relationship. Samia, who I tried to get to come today as well, but she's out of town. I've known Samia since she was a teenager, but I wasn't her mentor. She was the wash girl where I got my hair done. And she wanted to do this t-shirt business, and Anique was like, Tanya, will you mentor her or whatever? I mean, and so we have a relationship to the point where she lives at my house and she ain't planning on leaving. As much as I've tried.
Me soon.
So it's a wonderful
Make
thing.
room.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I said I always say that teasingly, because I love her like a daughter. So it's just like, it's just it's so organic and it's just blossoms into this thing, and it's just such a reciprocal relationship.
So then what happened when you reached out to her parents and they said, oh, sure, we would love you to mentor Aniya? And then what was the first step?
I think we went out.
We had a meeting at Starbucks.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right. And I was so nervous, honestly, coming. I was like, is she going to like me? And I was wearing my best clothes. I didn't want to get any coffee because I didn't want my breath to smell like coffee or like any Starbucks drinks. So I was just sat there, and I think you were wearing a hat that day.
My hat.
Yeah, a hat and like a heavy coat, and you just looked so sophisticated.
It was cold. It was cold. Yeah, I remember that now. Yep. I forgot about that first meeting. Yeah.
So then how long has it been for this for the mentorship partnership in a way, I guess?
How long?
Yeah.
As far as like a year. It's been over a year.
It's a little over a year now.
Yeah. So then you just contact Tanya whenever you feel you need support, I guess, and then just throw ideas off of her.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. She's Miss Tanya is a lot of like my mental support. I feel like, you know, getting my mindset right, and when like I feel good that I can always text her at like 12 in the morning and ask her how she thinks about this, and she'll answer. She'll answer.
Wait, I think that laugh was like.
Oh, do you know
I'll
how to give me
answer
time?
it. No.
No, I do answer.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes I answer back like, "Why are you up?"
Right. But Miss Tanya, she keeps me grounded. I feel like as well, talking about building a foundation in her book. It feels good to have that person outside my parents as an adult to reach out to.
Absolutely. We're just going to take one break, and I'm going to play the song that it just reminds me of Aniya. I'm just going to play the song, and then we'll be back, so stay tuned and keep it locked. Here we go. And we are back. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Millennial High on 106.5 FM in Philadelphia. With me in the studio, you heard the majority of the show, Tanya T Morris, the Power of the T, and she was telling us how awesome and powerful mentorship is. And she brought with her Aniya Wolfe. She is a 15-year-old filmmaker, photographer, and she's fully committed to her passion. She's written, produced, directed, and edited 2 short films. Selfie Wars had over 7,000 YouTube views, and her second film, Skin, addresses the various challenges and issues facing youth today. Aniya, officially welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love your outfit too.
Oh, thank you.
So free.
You know, it's so funny. I had saw something the other day, and they were saying, oh, the beautiful thing about doing radio is just that you don't have to look.
Yeah.
You can roll out of bed and just go on. But I never do that. I always end up dressing up because I go out afterwards.
Do it for yourself.
Exactly. So then, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've been doing pretty good recently. Just mentally preparing for a lot that's about to happen.
I can't wait to hear. So let's talk about how and why you wanted to become a filmmaker, an actress, photographer. How did that all happen for you?
Well, okay, so how it all happened, I actually started off as an actress. As a kid, I loved attention, and I used to watch the Disney shows like, you know, Hannah Montana, all the oldies, and I just kind of wanted, you know, to be on the screen and act and stuff. So my parents didn't know how to get me started, but about 5 years later, after they saw how like consistent I was, and every time they asked me what I wanted to be, I never changed it. They were like, okay, we have to figure this out. So we prayed on it, and the universe started working. And my dad's friend was his kids actually had an agent, so they referred us over to New Jersey. Kathy Donahue, she's still amazing, still work with her today, and we set up a meeting, and from there we started getting on auditions and shows. I was extras on like Orange is the New Black, Marvel, and it was just amazing to be on set. But I always had questions. I was always curious. It's like a lot of kids, always curious, and I wanted to see what it was like behind the camera. But the men, first of all, wasn't diverse. It wasn't diverse at all, any of the sets I've been on. It wasn't a lot of women. So these guys were like the complete opposite of me, and they used to kind of push me to the side and be a little mean when I tried to ask questions. And I was like, I didn't let that unmotivate me though. So I used to do independent research. I used to go home and Google YouTube, Wikipedia, YouTube, and kind of figure out filmmaking for myself. After that, I made my first short film, which was Tanya's talking about, Selfie Wars, which I didn't know what I was doing, but the support system is so important. My parents, my friends, my acting friends, they all drove out, and we shot Selfie Wars together when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I fell in love with visual storytelling and making people feel and act. So, you know, act on relevant situations. It's something I love to do.
So then talk about your film Skin. Wasn't it Skin? Yeah. So then let's talk about that. So what is that about? And then what was the inspiration for that?
So Skin's inspiration came from a lot of different places. First off, personally, I just wanted to test myself as a filmmaker to see if I would be a comedic director, or would I be a horror, Quentin Tarantino, or just, like, I just wanted to figure that out. So I wanted to experiment and go from light and fluffy to dark and realistic. And then the second thing that inspired me was my parents' stories. Both of my parents, they've both gone through so much in their lives. They're actually comfortable with speaking about it. They actually use their stories to inspire other kids. So I'm going to mention they were both molested. My dad went through, he was homeless. He was in foster care. He ran away. He was abused. Both his parents were drug addicts. A lot of stuff happened in both their lives. And the fact that they wanted to change that for me instead of like having the cycle continue, because that happened to their parents too, that really, that meant a lot. And I just felt like their stories and their voices needed to be heard too. We all have a story. So, and then the third thing was, it still happens. These situations are timeless. My friends go through these situations I didn't even know. People I walk by, and I was like, I want to attack something that would never get old. So I want to bring awareness to that. So those were the 3 things that inspired me.
Amazing. So what do you like? What is your motivation to continue? Like, what is your driving force?
My driving force, it's probably seeing people's reactions first and foremost, like them feeling, them crying, them telling me that I changed a part in their life. They're going to do something differently. That definitely, because it just feels like I left my footprint. I know I have a mentor, but I've actually began to be a mentor to other girls my age, even older
That's
than
what you're
me.
supposed to do.
And that's also amazing. Them just reaching out, and I ask them how they feel, because at a point in my life too, like I'm so young, but before I had mentors, like I was alone and I didn't really have anyone to reach out to. So it feels good to, help these girls out. And that keeps me going, seeing them bettering their lives.
So let's talk about your mentorship relationship with Tanya.
Yes.
So how has she made an impact in your life? Let's talk, because I know when we played that song "To Still Look Pretty," you were talking about just your first film premiere and kind of like how you reached out to Tanya.
Miss Tanya has been amazing. It hasn't changed from over a year ago. She still has been that consistent, amazing mentor, and it's very natural. It's very organic, like she said. Like recently, okay, so this is a little embarrassing, but when we go out to like vacations and travel with my family, we don't do it often, but when we do, like we use we don't have luggage, so we use like ShopRite bags and like Target bags, and we had like one big duffel bag, and then if it didn't fit in the duffel bag, we would just be carrying around these trash bags as our luggage. And I told Miss Tanya this, and I didn't expect it, but she surprised me with a new luggage set, and just small stuff like that. Like that made my world. I started crying like when she left, but I was just, small things like that. Like, she listens to me, of course. It was just a story I was telling, and she decided to act on it.
Right.
And that right there, it meant a lot. She's mentally, not materialistic wise, but mentally she's helped me get my mindset right. I can ask her questions about college. She's going to school, and anything. We can talk about real problems, like what's going on in Virginia. We were talking about in the car.
Right.
We see movies together. It's not always just business and like you have to learn. I'm the teacher. Like no, it's not like that. We go out to eat. We used to eat burgers before we watched What the Health, and now we're just kind of.
I gave up my beef before What the Health came out.
My mom told me to watch What the Health. I haven't seen that yet. I want to.
Life changing.
Really?
Life changing.
I'm going to see that. I'm going to make it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
I'm going to make a point to see that.
You should hurry up before they take it down.
Yeah, I want to see that.
So Aniya's being a little humble, and I probably didn't update her bio because since Skin, she's released the extended version Beyond My Skin, which is a feature film.
Oh, you have a feature film.
So she's actually, and one thing that she said, and one that I didn't really say is that, like I said, when I was interviewing Spike Lee and all of those guys when I was growing up, I wanted to be a filmmaker. Like when I went to college, I wanted to be the female Spike Lee. Like I was in my basement doing the butt and doing all that old goofy stuff and going up to his stores in Brooklyn and all of that kind of stuff. So when I met her, it was just totally amazing to me because I was like, wow, she's 15 already making films. And the goal is, in mentorship to me, the goal is always for a mentee to go beyond where you want it to be. And so she's already doing more than I ever thought about doing as a filmmaker or ever did as a filmmaker, but I love it so much. Like she said, we go to the movies and we're like, yo, did you see that? Yo, did you like, we talk about the Oscars and all of that kind of stuff, but because I still love it so much, you know?
Yeah. So then let's talk about both your future projects, like what you have going on next. I know you said there's so many things happening that you're so excited about, and I'm like, definitely want to hear.
It's bittersweet. So like Miss Tanya was saying, I actually did just release my first feature film on July 1st titled Beyond My Skin. We were able to fundraise over $10,000 from Skin to
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
It's been a year in the works, but it's so much growing. I don't think I'll continue to grow, but in that span, so much. I've learned so much. But so basically we just released it and the reaction was amazing. Like we sold out the theater.
Nice.
So 400 people, some people didn't come of course, but like, all the seats were bought. And after it was released, now we're just working on distribution, and I'm actually preparing to go to St. Lucia in 3 days because we'll be premiering it out there for the Caribbean kids.
Wow.
And we'll be doing like a 3-day workshop with them to kind of educate. Because when I show my films, I like to talk about them as well because there's always going to be questions and like, hey, I'm going through this too. And I like to give them, resources to help them out. But we'll be doing a 3-day workshop with them, and we've actually just made the crazy decision. My parents are so supportive. I'm so grateful to move to California.
Wow.
To try to get the film out there. Yeah, it's crazy because like my dad and my little brother are staying behind, and we're selling the house, and it's like my mom. I'm gonna cry. My mom, my little sister, and I were going out, and I'm just so grateful to like have.
Yeah.
I'm crying right now.
No, it's good, honey.
But I'm just really grateful. I'm only 15,
yeah.
and I'm gonna be leaving everyone that supported me, like not behind. Like I always have them in my heart, but I'm gonna be starting fresh out there, and I'm always gonna like stay with all my friends, always update on them. But it just hurts when they say like, "Don't forget me." Like I'm never gonna forget you. Got me to this place. Like, thank you. But
they're a part of your journey. They're always gonna be there.
Yeah,
for you,
for sure.
And then just even today with technology, I mean, there's Skype,
Yes.
there's everything. There's everything. And then there's awesome trips that you can take Tanya to go see your
Yeah.
friends.
Yes, give me a year.
Yes, I'm going out west.
Exactly.
So it's bittersweet.
Right.
I mean, the month and a half that she's had since the film came out has just been like a whirlwind thing because she got to meet John Singleton. She got to meet Ava DuVernay. It was just like
John Singleton actually offered to write my USC recommendation because I want to go to USC for film school. But Tanya T, see the power of the T. She was the reason why I got to go out there and got to meet John Singleton. She was like helping me push through the way to meet him.
Wow.
She's amazing. She makes sure things happen. And when I was meeting Ava, it's a long story. It was a crazy story, but I'll tell it one day.
Because she was here, right, for the Black Film Festival. Is that where done? Yes, understood.
I was literally the day before. I was crying and sulking because it was like I've always wanted to meet Ava, and like her show was sold out, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to go. I was like, you know what? I'll just. God has a plan. But then the next day, so I went from crying, being upset that it was sold out, to the next day being in her personal green room.
That's amazing.
And it was amazing, but God just works amazing people.
And Aniya, again, and this is one of the reasons I love her, because she's been a little humble when it comes to that. Not a little humble because, and it's not just me. I mean, we were, I don't know if you know Danielle Jeter, but Danielle Jeter is a friend of mine, and she wanted to meet Ava because she wanted her to come to the WIM conference. And so we're like, yo, we're just going to show up.
Yeah.
We were like, we're just going to show up. So we show up, and another one of Aniya's mentor, Josh Duncan, who actually has worked with Ava. We just showed up. We got tickets, and then but in that crowd of sold out folks, Aniya stands up and tells her story, and it's done. People. And once that happens, it's over. Like it's over. Once she stands up, her boldness, and stands up and tells her story, it's over. Ava's like, it was funny. I like what she said when she first responded, because she said. Because Aniya was asking her about film school, and Ava DuVernay didn't go to film school. And she's an amazing director, right? But she says, as Aniya's telling her story, she said she was thinking to herself, she should go. right? But then she thought for a second, after she heard more, she was like, film school, you may not need film school, but film school needs you more than anything.
I had dropped my head.
And I thought that was just so, she was so gracious.
Wow.
She was so wonderful with her. I mean, Josh is crying. I'm grinning from ear to ear, and we're just.
And they both taught me something that day. Both of my mentors. They, I was told that it was sold out, and like they both taught me just to show up, just to go. Don't let nobody tell you like you can't come in. Like if it's meant for you, you better finesse your way through there. Like if it feels right, it's right.
That's it. That's it.
I'm telling you, that's amazing. So this is mentorship at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you. Tanya, what about you? So what products do you have? I know you said you have something new coming up.
So in May, I did a Mother's Day event. It was called Mom Your Business.
Mom Your Business.
And it was just something that I just kind of, came up with. I wanted to do something for Mother's Day. Sherry and I wanted to do something for Mother's Day. And so we showed this amazing film called Dream Girl, which was about female entrepreneurs, primarily in New York. And the thing was, when I saw this film, I'm looking at Claire Villarosa, who owned Human Bookstore in Harlem, which at one time was the largest African-American bookstore in the country. My cousin Barb has lived in Harlem most of my life, and so Barb was like, you need to get your book in Human. And so I picked up the phone and I called Claire Villarosa. She said, yeah, baby, send it on over to me, put my book in the store at me. Nice. So when I seen her in that film, I was blown away. When I heard about the film in my car. The producer was telling the story, and I was like, I think I wanted to host a screening. So we hosted a screening. We had an amazing panel. We had Kelly Beard from Joyce's Lulu Bang, who was on Shark Tank, and we had Andrea Mayberry. What's the boy's name? What's his name? The boy from Empire's mama.
Oh, okay. Yaz's mom.
Yes.
We had her on our panel. We had Keisha Hanton on our panel, and we talked about. But afterwards, people were like, when the next Mom Your Business thing? I was like, I don't know. I thought it was going to just be one thing.
Yeah.
And so, but it's continued on. And so now we did a brainstorming session. We put a team together. And so Mom Your Business is, our mission is to support mompreneurs and professional women by connecting them to resources and opportunities. So we did a nonprofit edition a couple weeks ago that was amazing. People are still talking about that. And so right now, so for your listeners, you all can help me with this next part. We are having a back to school drive for moms that are going back to school. So we are collecting book bags and notebooks and gift cards for them to buy textbooks, and then we're not just going to give them stuff, we're going to support them with coaching. So I have myself and a couple other coaches that are going to support them throughout the semester, because many times 1 in every 5 new students that are going back to school is a mom, primarily a single mom. So they're juggling school, kids, family, and work in most cases. And so we want to support them as they take this new journey to be better and to be more employable and to increase their skill level. So that's what we're doing. We're actually having, so that's my new thing is Mom Your Business, my first nonprofit. And I spent almost 20 years of my working career in nonprofit. Now I'm starting one.
Now you're starting one.
Unreal.
I actually have a question. So I actually know someone that would probably benefit for that. My aunt is actually a single mom.
Love it.
She's been not doing so well for a while, but she wants to go back to school to try to get better. So how could we like, I know after it's finished, I know you're still developing it. Like,
well, no, the drive is on now. So what I'm asking people to do is to email a story about this and about the mom to nominate them at momyourbiz at gmail.com.
Momyourbiz at gmail.com.
Momyourbiz at gmail.com to nominate them. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So then where can you just like drop your website, your social and everything, Tanya and Aniya for?
So mine's is thepowerofthet.com. The power, and everything on social media is Power of the T.
Okay.
Nice. That's so simple. I wish I had that mindset when I started. My Instagram, if you want to follow my personal journey, which is preferred because I post everything there, Aniya Wolfe on Instagram and Facebook. So that's Aniya, Aniya, and then Wolf with an E. Aniya Wolfe on Facebook and Instagram. And then if you want to follow the business side of things, the premieres, this, that, what we're doing. Beauty Scene Productions is the name of my production company. So it's Beauty Scene, SCENE Productions. Beauty Scene Productions on Facebook and Instagram.
15-year-old with her own
production company. I was going to say, because you didn't mention that.
Maybe she produce some of my films if I ever make a film.
I made a video for Miss Tanya.
You did. It's a great video. I haven't released it yet, so she's a little after me because I haven't released it yet. So it's going to be on my new website when I release it. So she's done a few things for me actually. Well, that's when you first seen her was when she did my photography.
Oh, that was that.
At Books and Beauty. So yeah, she.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Okay, awesome. All right, now it's all coming together. It's full circle now. Well, this has been a great show. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you so much, Aniya. Congratulations, and I send all warm wishes, well wishes. Just all power to you and you too, Tanya. And if you just send me, I'm going to post your links and your page and share it with my audience, and also the Facebook and also your drive. Do you have a
I have a flyer for that. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'll share the flyer. But in the meantime, to all my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I believe in you, and enjoy your Sunday. Up next, I have Delilah Robin, and she's on for 2 hours playing fantastic music. So stay tuned. In the meantime, stay lit, love inspired and true.
Stay lit. I like that.
Love inspired and true.
Love inspired. What is it? Love inspired.
Love inspired and true.
I love that. Love inspired and true. Stay lit, y'all. Hey, Jenny, are you lit? Are you lit, Jenny?
Oh my God.
Are you lit? I love that. You know I'm gonna use that. I know I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that.
Oh my God.
Look at Aniya.
That's funny.
Congratulations
Thank
again
you
to
so
both
much.
of you. Enjoy your Sunday.
See y'all.
Bye.